Hey guys, how's it going? I know I upload a lot of guitar videos and stuff to YouTube, but I haven't really discussed the details of what I use behind the scenes, my equipment and stuff. I know I've done a little bit of that, some equipment tours like way back in 2010 and 2013, but haven't done one recently, and my gear has been updated, so I'm going to tell you guys about what I have. So first of all, I use this guitar mainly. You may have seen me use a white goldish guitar in some of my videos, and that is the Gresh White Penguin. And I like that guitar, it's pretty good, but since I came back to San Francisco, I don't really play that guitar much anymore. This one is still my main guitar and still the one I prefer the most for electric guitar, that is. And yeah, it is a Fender Stratocaster. Some of you guys may have some of you non-guitar people may even know that name. It is very, very popular design. This design is very, very popular because many famous guitar players have played this design. You may not know them: Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jeff Beck, John Mayer, David Gilmour. The list goes on and on. A lot of great guitar players play this type of guitar, and there's a reason for that. It's because it's very, very versatile. This guitar can play almost any genre of music, from blues to jazz, rock, pop, surf, funk, whatever you have it. This guitar does everything. It's very, very versatile, which is why a lot of people play it. A lot of people like it. But this is not a standard Stratocaster because it's basically a guitar I custom put together myself. So it's a parts caster basically. I took a lot of different parts and I put them together throughout the years. I think I first got this guitar way back, I think around 2010 or 2011-ish. I think around that time you may have seen this guitar. Before I was playing a GNL tribute, and then I switched to a genuine Stratocaster. So then I have this guitar now. I got it from, I think 2010-ish, must be late 2010 or early 2011. It must be that time. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through this guitar, the details of it. First of all, we have the Fender American Standard neck. This is a made in USA neck. It's kind of stressed, but I like the headstock is a vintage 50s style headstock. I'm thinking about switching to the 70s style headstock, which I don't know, I like both of them, but yeah, this headstock is very vintage like. And this neck is it's a 9.5 radius, so it's a modern radius, which I like. I don't like the vintage radius that much. I like the modern radius. It's rosewood fingerboard. I like the rosewood fingerboard as well. 22 frets, because I like having that extra fret there. It's really nice. Yeah, and it's a little bit distressed because I played it a lot. So if you want to see the back of it, this neck here is very, very distressed, and it's distressed naturally. It's not a relic or anything when I bought it. It just became this way because I played it a lot, and it got banged up a lot. So yeah, that's the neck. It's very naturally distressed from a lot of playing, I guess. Yeah, this is a Fender American neck. So this body is from the Fender Road Worn 60s Strat body, I believe. So I bought this, I think, in late 2010. This body is already distressed, so it's relict. Relict means it's designed to simulate the wear and tear of having this guitar for many, many years. So unlike the neck, which was naturally done that way, I played this neck a lot. This body I got a little bit later than the neck, and so this one is not quite as naturally distressed as the neck, but has a lot of artificial distressing on it because of the relic treatment. So it's yeah, it's a three-tone sunburst body, you know, relic. So these spots right here, these big spots, are not done by me. It came like that basically because it's a relic. So has all these artificial distress patterns on it, and on the back too, you can see a lot of the artificial distress here on the contours and the sides here. You can see a lot of artificial distress, but there is a lot of natural distress here because I have banged up this body a lot on gigs and stuff. So like this stuff here, the small spots right here are yeah, it's naturally distressed. So that means I played it a lot and then it got banged up naturally. This spot here, these tiny spots here are pretty natural. Yeah, I think this stuff here is pretty natural, this here. Yeah, that's because this body has a nitro finish, which some people like over the standard poly finish. A nitro finish means that the coating over this guitar will wear out over time, and then you'll get this, the paint will start peeling off naturally, which some people like because it gives the feeling of an old worn in guitar. It means you played it a lot. Whereas with poly binding guitars, you know, the polyurethane instead of the nitrocellulose, the polyurethane guitars, which is what most guitars you'll find these days, they're perfectly preserved and they're going to look like that way forever basically, and they're never going to change, which a lot of people like because they like putting the guitar in pristine condition. But some of us prefer guitars to be aged, I guess, naturally, so we like the nitro finish. And yeah, this neck is also a C-shaped neck. I like the C-shaped neck. The pick guard. The pick guard is something I added this year. This design is from the Jimi Hendrix Monterey Strat, and I like this design. I have liked it for a long time, since my high school days, and decided to put this pick guard on this guitar this year. So originally I just had a normal pick guard, swapped it out this year for a Monterey design. I like it. It's really cool. And these pickups are also different. I think this body came with standard Tex-Mex or Texas Special pickups, and I swapped them out for these pickups are hand wound. They're custom made for me by a guy in Virginia. His website is RumpelstiltskinPickups.com. You can go to that website. It's Rumpelstiltskin Pickups. That's his company. You can go there and you can custom order a set of pickups wound to whatever specs you want. So for you guys who like pickups, I'm gonna tell you the specs on these. I custom ordered them. The neck pickup is 5.8K resistance, made with Alnico 3 magnets, and the middle is Alnico 5 magnets wound to 5.8K. The bridge is wound to 6.3K and also Alnico 5 magnets. So yeah, Alnico 3, Alnico 5, Alnico 5, 5.8, 5.8, 6.3, those are the specs. All made with plain enamel, not plain enamel, form bar. That's right, form bar wire. That's the 50s wire that they use for vintage pickups, because I don't like hot pickups. I like to have underwound vintage type pickups, so that's what I asked for. I like the tremolo. This is one reason why I went back to this after using the Gresh White Penguin, because I like having tremolo on my guitars. The whammy bar, I mean. This is actually vibrato. I mean, this vibrato. That's something you can't really do with other guitars, except for some guitars like the Strat. You can do it with, because it has the whammy bar here, which is cool. I like it. And yeah, I usually prefer the neck middle position. It's hum canceling, and it has a little bit less volume, but it has a nice in-between tone. The neck position is a little louder because it's not hum canceling. That's also a position I use a lot. Then I don't use the middle position a lot. Lost Strat guys don't use that one. Then we have the bridge in the middle, which is also pretty cool. Quacky tone. Nice quacky tone there. And the bridge position for like solos and stuff, I guess, steering solos. Pretty cool. So yeah, that's my Fender Strat. Custom made it, put it together, and has served me well for the last 6 years. So, and I think I have strap locks on these as well. And oh yeah, I took the trem cover off the back because it helps the tone. That's what a lot of Strat guys do, like Eric Johnson. So that's one other thing I made, and yeah, that's about it. I think that's all the unique properties I can talk about this guitar with. But yeah, it's my main guitar, the one I feel the most comfortable with. And next I'm going to go on to my pedal board. So I'm going to show you guys what I have right now for my pedal board. Alright guys, so this is my pedal board as of right now, December 2016. It might change sometime in the future, but this is how I have it right now. One other thing I forgot to mention is that my guitar strings, I usually use Elixir strings for both my acoustic and my electric because they're coated and I don't have to change them out as often. I remember when I'm using just uni balls or D'Addarios or Fenders, they break really easily and you have to change your strings like pretty often, I feel. And I feel with Elixirs and other coated strings, they last a lot longer, so I tend to stick with Elixir guitar strings. Right? I'm not endorsing anyone, by the way. I'm not affiliated with anyone. I just want to let you guys know what I use. And the cables too. I don't skimp on anything in my chain. I don't really want cheap stuff anywhere in my chain. I just want the best, good quality cables. Not the most expensive stuff, but good value. So here I have Mogami cables as patch cables. The cable running to my guitar is Elixir cable. They don't make them anymore, but they used to make them. These are Elixir cables right here. Some of you guys may not have seen these cables before, but they used to make them. And then the cable running to my amp is lava cables, and which I also like a lot. So that's what I use to connect my pedals and stuff. And yeah, I can go over the pedals right here. So starting off with my pedal chain, I have the BBE wah. So this wah is my standard wah. You can get it for about, I think, less than $100. Yeah, you can get it for maybe $75 even. It's really, really good value. Like BBE makes a lot of good value stuff here. The bend wah is no exception. Not only because it has a Chinese character design, but also they have a Q control right here. Yeah, they have a Q control right here. They can use to adjust the Q on the wah. And let me show you guys what I'm talking about. When I use this wah, I'm going to do a little bit of a demonstration of all these pedals. Alright, so right now it's a straight tone to my amp. Nothing is turned on in my chain right now. So that's the normal tone. Step on the wah. Now wah sound. So this is with the Q or the harmony control set to the middle right here. It's up to 12 o'clock. I feel like this is pretty good setting. Then you can set the Q setting to you can set it all the way to the left right here. See what happens. There's not quite as much quack as you can hear. Definitely don't hear as much of the wah sound when you set it there. You set it all the way to the right. See what happens? You get a lot of quack. You definitely hear more quack. Hear more quack to the left, and then blending the middle. That's what I usually do. Just keep it in the middle there. Okay, so that's the BBE wah. very vintage style wah, and it has that 1960s type of halo inductor inside of it. So they replicated that. Anyways, I like it better than like the Crybaby or the Vox wah, unless you want to like spend a little bit more money and get the Vox hand-wired wah, which is a lot more expensive than this. I think this is a pretty good value for that nice vintage sound. Cheaper than the T-Swa too. Some people like the T-Swas. Yeah, let's keep this in my chain. I don't use wah that much, so I don't feel any need to upgrade it. Alright, then we got right here. This is the Boss Wazacraft tuner, the TU3W. So yeah, a lot of people use the Boss tuner, the TU3, and some people may ask why get the Wazacraft one. There is one key thing with the Wazacraft one that the other tuners don't have. That's that you can switch between the buffered mode and the true bypass mode. So by default, tuners, the Boss tuners have this buffer on it, which sends a little bit of a coloration throughout your signal chain, and it will basically retain the highs a little bit more, because when you're using a Strat like mine, some of your highs might get sucked off, because all these pedals are, except for this one and the other Boss right here, are true bypass. But when you have all the pedals here true bypass in a long chain, it might suck the tone off of your highs. So that's why you need to have at least one buffer pedal in your chain so that you retain your highs. And so I have the tuner, the Boss Wazacraft tuner has a better buffer than most tuners do. So I keep this one, and you can actually set it between, you can actually switch between the buffered and the non-buffered modes right here. Show you guys. So yeah, you have the, you guys can see it right there. There's a switch right here between buffered and true bypass, and I can switch between the two. So it's cool they have that. And of course it just does a lot of tuner stuff. You can change the mode, it's guitar, you can change to like step down or 3 steps down, 5 steps down, bass. Then bass guitar, I mean, you can tune that. Then you can tune up, chromatic mode, up, sharp, 2 steps up, stream scent mode. I guess you'll hold it, it'll be like that. And yeah, but standard it's in just the guitar tuning mode. Let's keep it on that. It also has 2 outputs for the bypass. Alright, so I'm going to put it into a chromatic mode now. So chromatic mode right here, that's what I usually use, and does all the tuning pretty nicely. And of course it mutes. You can set it, there's 2 outputs if you don't want it to mute, but it's by default muting your guitar. It's also a good way to act as a kill switch if you really need to kill all your pedals at once without stomping on all of them. You can just use the tuner as a mute as well. Anyways, this is the sound when it's buffered. Then I can switch it to true bypass mode. So like I said, all my pedals are true bypass, so this is gonna result in a little bit loss of highs when I do this, but if you really want the true signal of your guitar, then you can do this. This is true bypass mode. As you can see, like, you can tell I've lost a little something off my tone there, right? It's not as it's lost a little something. So if I put the buffer mode back on, like this, then you can tell that that little bit of high has been added back into my mix right here. And that's why it's important to have a buffered pedal. Especially when you have a long chain of pedals, have at least one buffered pedal so you can retain your trebles, your highs, and it doesn't get sucked off a little bit. So you can see true bypass and buffered. Right. Anyways, that's the Boss Wazacraft tuner, and this one I think is a little bit expensive for like 120, 130 ish. You can also get if you're always going to use the buffer, you have no if you have no desire to use the true bypass, you can just buy the normal one, the TU3, which is fine. But I think the Wazacraft one is slightly a better buffer system, which is why I have it. Slightly better buffer there, or higher quality one. And then, yeah, we have the Maxon TB09 True Tube Booster Overdrive. I've had this pedal for a while now. This one is still really good pedal. It needs a separate power supply because it has a voltage doubler inside of it, which increases the headroom. But I use it as my main booster overdrive pedal. It's not a tube screamer, so Maxon does make a lot of tube screamer pedals because they were the original maker of the tube screamer, right? The Ibanez tube screamer was originally manufactured by Maxon, so they made the original tube screamers, and now they're still making a line of tube screamers that, you know, like the OD808, and they make a whole bunch of 9 series pedals that duplicate like the TS9 and like TS9 Pro, whatever. They basically take the tube screamer circuit, they add a lot of stuff onto it. This one is not that related to the tube screamer circuit. It's kind of like taking the tube screamer, but instead of the solid state type of distortion that's inside of it, they added the sub-miniature tube right here, right? And they used the tube as the gain stage instead. Actually, they added it. So like, yeah, so the tube basically provides the boost on this one, and there's a solid state distortion circuit inside of it that's used for the drive, so you can use them to blend, and then this one is very, very versatile. Yeah, there's also one called the TOD9, which is just a tube overdrive, and that one is based on the that one is basically a tube screamer with a tube inside of it. Yeah, so anyways, this one is a little bit different. It's a little bit more transparent because it's using a different kind of circuit. So the TOD9, the true tube overdrive, that one uses a tube screamer circuit with a tube added. This one uses a transparent type of overdrive with a booster added, and uses the tube powered to feed the boost circuit. So yeah, it's slightly different. I know it's a little bit confusing, but yeah, just think of this one as a very transparent type of overdrive, and I use this one mainly to boost. That's why I always have the boost set to high, but you can use it for anything. You can blend the drive knob, and then you can have a really combination yeah, overdrive type of pedal. So yeah, it's very, very versatile. So put it on like this. So I've used it just as the boost, so we're using the 100% of the pedal right now as the boost, which uses the tube only. So this tube is what Maxon refers to as a military spec sub-miniature tube. So it's not exactly the same as a 12AX7 preamp tube or anything, but you guys can hear how loud that is. It really does. It really is pretty transparent. So I like to use this as a booster because it's very, very transparent. And if you want to roll back the boost and just use the drive, you can do that. So this is just using the solid state distortion circuit inside of it. Blend the two. If I blend the two, boost and drive, you have 50% solid state, 50% tube in here. guys. Yeah, you can use this setting to make a very fat type of overdrive sound if you want. But yeah, I mostly use this as a booster and turn drive down a little bit. Not completely down, I want some kind of coloration from it, but so this way it's not too fat. And the reason for that is because I don't want too much coloration from this pedal. Because most of my overdrive actually comes from this one, the Wampler Euphoria. Alright, so yeah, this one is pretty expensive, about $200 new. This one, the Wampler Euphoria, is a really versatile overdrive pedal. So this one is really versatile because it's also a transparent type of overdrive, but there's different settings in here. As you can see, there's a smooth, open, and crunch setting on here. The smooth setting is reminiscent of a Chandler tube driver type of tone, the type that you would find on Eric Johnson, or yeah, the type you would find on like Eric Johnson type of licks, or David Gilmour type of sound right here is a smooth type. Open type is more of a Dumble type of sound, I think. This one is the one. This pedal is based off of like a D style pedal with which is like a Dumble type of pedal. And yeah, this one, it should be more like what's another one I can compare it to? The Zen Drive. Yeah, the Hermida Zen Drive. That's kind of like that Dumble type of tone right there. Whereas this smooth one is comparable to, I guess, the Dover Drive. Yeah, which is also a great pedal. The crunch sound is more of a fuzz type of tone. This one is yeah, kind of like a light fuzz. You think of it as kind of like a Big Muff. Not quite as heavy as a Big Muff, but similar to a Big Muff Pi, I guess. So there's yeah, it's very versatile because it has so many different settings to it. So I'll let you guys show me what you think of it. I'm gonna use everything at 12 to have a good reference. Alright, so this is the smooth tone. This should be the tube driver type of tone right here. By the way, I don't have any delay on, I just have some reverb, so that's why you're hearing a little bit of reverb. The reverb's coming from the amp. Yeah, that's the smooth type of option, the tube driver kind of option with everything set at 12. As you can tell, it's not it's not too distorted. It's very clean, very type of creamy type of tone. Then we got the open tone, which should be more of a Dumble type of tone right here. The most immediate change you hear is more distortion, more overdrive there. It's got a little bit more gain to it. Yeah, it's getting a little bit more into the crunch territory. It's not totally crunch, but it's getting more into that really overdriven type of territory right there. So that's the middle setting. Then the crunch setting should be like more distorted, more fuzz. You know, think of a big muff like that. Yeah, kind of a light fuzz, I guess. So yeah, definitely you have the most distortion, or the most gain in that mode right there. It's like the light fuzz. I usually keep it in the smooth position, and I combine it, so bass, volume, low volume and gain a little bit, and combine it with the boost to get a combined type of boost overdrive tone. And this is the one I use on a lot of my Larry Carlton covers. So that's Maxon TV9, Wampler Euphoria. Then we got a distortion pedal here. So these two overdrives. Got a distortion pedal here. This one is the RambleFX Marvel Drive. The Euphoria, by the way, is also $200 because it's a boutique pedal. Yeah, Marvel Drive. This one also about 200, I think, 180 or 200-ish. This is the first version. I know they made later versions, but this is basically a plexi and a box. And so it competes with pedals like the plexi drive and other like plexi in a box type pedals. Tries to make that kind of tone, and yeah, that's what it is. If you want to have the Marshall super lead sound, the plexi sound, then you would go for one of these. I'll show you what I mean. This one simulates a Marshall with the so those old Marshall plexis with the 4 inputs. One of the secrets to the tone was to patch 2 of the inputs together, and so RambleFX duplicated this kind of configuration in this pedal right here. So you'll see what I mean. I have everything set to 12, including the presence control. There's also presence control here. They even have the plexiglass here, so this is actually plexiglass to mimic the kind of to mimic the aesthetics of the Marshall plexi. All right, so everything's set at 12. Like this. Get some nice Marshall type of tones from it, you know, as Eric Clapton or Jimi Hendrix or Jimmy Page would play. simulates that, well, Marshall plexis are most known for the amount of loudness, the amount of hard rock type of music, but if you listen to a lot of those Jimi Hendrix songs, you know that it has a really good clean tone as well when it's cleaned up. And I think this duplicates that very well on this kind of setting. Like, it duplicates a kind of high gain, but or just high wattage, clean headroom type of sound. Yeah, high wattage, clean room, not a lot of gain, but just a lot of headroom. And if I turn up the settings a little bit more, maybe you guys can hear the crunch. So yeah, if you turn everything up a little bit more, you can hear that signature Marshall crunch from the this pedal. So that's the Marvel drive. I use mostly this one for like in the middle setting. It's really good for clean tones, right? So I use it for clean tones as well. So it's really good for that. All right. Yeah, I've been showing you guys the Euphoria. What if I push this one a little bit more? Definitely you can get that's very overdriven tone if you push it. So yeah, I just want to show you guys the that the Euphoria is not just for, you know, the low transparent tone. You can actually push it, get a lot out of it, even in the smooth setting. And yeah, this one is a little bit less gain, I think, the Maxon. That's why this one is mostly the main overdrive I use, very versatile. This one, I think even if you push everything to max, it's not going to be as high as these two. So this one's mainly as a transparent boost. This one's the main distortion. This will get very loud if you push it, which I almost never do because I live in an apartment. Mostly keep this one on clean setting. To use this one mostly for gain if I need it. All right, so now that's all my overdrives and distortions and stuff. This is the so I get into more of the delay stuff now, the other post-processing stuff. So yeah, this is the Keeley Magnetic Echo, and this is the old version without the updated graphics and stuff. So little knobs. I don't like the old version because the knobs are very hard to see. But this is basically a reverb. This is basically a delay. Sorry, not an analog delay. It's a digital delay that simulates a tape echo. So essentially, if you compare it to an analog delay like the MXR carbon copy and stuff, it's going to be very similar to that. And I also used to have the Catalan bred Bella Epoch in here, which simulates the Echoplex type of delay. And I really like the Echoplex. There's also the Dunlop EP103, EP101. You can simulate the Echoplex type of sound there. But I think Keeley did a really good job here. The reason I took the Bella Epoch out is because for some reason turning it on added a lot of hiss to my signal chain. I don't know why, but it just created a lot of noise, a lot of hiss. Swapped it out with the Magnetic Echo, and it's fine now. Like, I have no idea what problem that was, but the Magnetic Echo seems to be doing a lot better, and it plays it plays with the other pedals a lot better, I think, than the Bella Epoch did. And it's also a really good pedal. I mean, it's not analog pedal, it's not an analog delay pedal, I mean. That's not analog delay, but it's very, very comparable, and I think it's better actually than a lot of analog delays, like the Way Huge Octopus, for example. I think it actually is better than a lot of those. So let's see if I put all the settings. There's a lot of settings, by the way, so I can't really demonstrate this all, but if I put like time, okay, these are the modulation controls. There's depth and speed here. There's time, there's regen, and there's level. So level, obviously, that controls how loud the repeats were, and the delay is regen time. This is the essential delay controls here. So let me play for you. There we go. So if I increase regen rate, so yeah, if you turn it up all the way, it's just gonna repeat forever. So don't want that. Time is the delay time, I guess. And this one level, I can make it a bit louder. Can make more shimmering type of sound there. More shimmering type of sound, right? Okay. And put this on middle, and then you can control the depth and the speed. I think if I pump up the speed a little bit, the depth a little bit. So these controls is for like the wow and the flutter of the tape that it's simulating. So this actually tries to simulate a tape delay. So that's what it's doing. It's not exactly just like other delay pedals. It's trying to simulate the tape. So this is the wow and flutter settings of the tape controls, I guess, as it degrades. Yeah, create some really nice spacey type of sounds like that, which is pretty awesome. So I can usually I just keep this down a little bit lower so it doesn't affect my tone too much. If you turn this up more, it's going to be very, very noticeable. And then unless you want to purposely create that type of tone for like some Pink Floyd stuff or Genesis stuff, but for me usually I'm just playing straight. So I just want to add a little bit of ambience to my tone. That's in addition to the reverb. So I usually just keep this on like the 11 o'clock-ish setting, 10, 11-ish. Like at this setting, it's barely noticeable, but it is there, and it adds a little bit more depth to the tone, I guess. So yeah, I like it adds a lot of ambience, so I almost always leave it on in whatever song I'm doing. Then we got the Xotic compressor. This is my compressor pedal, very small and very useful because I basically use it as my master volume actually. So if I turn everything on in these pedals, it's going to be very, very loud. I don't have an attenuator on my amp. So in order to control the volume, I actually use this as my master volume because everything comes through the compressor, and yeah, if I don't have this, it's gonna be like so loud. You can actually control the volume, mix it through the compressor, and I have a blend, a volume, and you can change the settings here, high, low, or mid. I believe mid is better for single coils. Low is like for humbuckers, I think. Which is why low. Actually, let's put the volume a little bit higher there. So on low, right, it doesn't seem to affect that much, but mid, yeah, it's a lot louder. I think a lot more gets through on the mid. Yeah, they're not high as well. So high and mid make the sound come through a little bit more than on low. I think the low is for like high gain already. You see, you're already using like a humbucker or something. You have high gain, then use the low setting. I think for single coils, I will use mid or the high. And it just cleans up your tone nicely. Like all the, you know what a compressor does is that it takes all the highs and lows and stuff and kind of squishes them. So it cleans up your tone really, really nicely. If I blend it a lot, so that means I mix it a lot, you can hear it's becoming more and more processed. So I just keep it in the middle here. And of course, when I put all these things on, right, it's gonna be so loud. Like, because it's so loud, I need this compressor to lower the volume a little bit, but still keep the gain and everything going, but at a lower volume, you know. So as you can see, all the gain and stuff is still there. It's still all there, but I'm just lowering the volume, that's it. So it's kind of like an attenuator in that sense. And I can make it as loud as I want. I can make it as quiet as I want. So yeah. So yeah, yeah, basically the SP compressor, the Xotic SP compressor is my master, yeah, it's my master volume. It's pretty cool. Really useful when you're playing with a lot of pedals, and yeah, I think that would be mainly why you would use the compressor, right? If you're playing with a lot of pedals and stuff, a lot of signals get affected, so you probably need it more. Okay, the prices, the Keeley one, forgot to talk about that. The Keeley one is around 150, Xotic compressor around 120, I believe, brand new. Then we come to the Sonic Stomp. Okay, so the BBE Sonic Stomp is sort of like the compressor. I want to say it's kind of like a post-processing kind of effect that you would just always leave on. And I don't really know how to explain this, because it's kind of like an equalizer, but it cleans up everything. Like, it makes, think of it like as you're doing like a Pro Tools or something, and you're doing like the post-production on your audio, right? And you have that magic, you have this kind of magic plugin that kind of just makes everything sound a little bit better in every way. It just makes the highs higher, the lows lower. Like, it cleans up everything. I know I said that about the compressor, but the Sonic Stomp kind of adds a little bit more. I think it just adds a little bit more of everything. It's really hard to explain it. Best way to explain it, I guess, just hear the difference, you know. Like, this is without the Sonic Stomp. And then once you have the Sonic Stomp, right? It's as if it just adds a little bit more presence to everything. Now, if I turn it all the way up, it can become very apparent. So. processed, which is why I leave it in the middle position, and I leave this pedal on all the time pretty much. And yeah, I can't really explain it, but it just makes everything sound clearer. It's like as if people say for this pedal, it's as if someone just lifted the blanket off of their amp, and I think that's true. It just makes everything a little bit more clear. Some kind of algorithm going on there, but it's like some famous guitarists like Eddie Van Halen or Jimmy Page. They leave the preamp of the Echoplex on, right? So it adds a little bit of coloration to the tone, which they like, and it makes everything just a little bit better in a way that they can't really explain. Well, this is kind of the same thing. Just leave it in your chain all the time, leave it on all the time, and it just makes everything a little bit clearer. I can't really explain exactly what's going on behind it, but yeah, it's just more clear. That's it. It makes your tone more clear. Xotic compresses it, obviously, you know, and then this makes everything a little bit more clear than before. You can tell them with both of these on, and then with this one on, a little bit more alive, right? And then of course you have the looper here, the Boss RC3 looper, which that's what I use to practice and jam with, since I'm mostly a solo act, I guess. So yeah, once you have it on, obviously you can store loops, replay them and stuff. Yeah, basically you can actually connect this to a computer. It has a USB input here. Connect it to a computer. You can write up to 99 different memory banks. You can turn on rhythm, and I can turn up the volume here on the rhythm. Yeah, there's different settings here. There's one knob here for turning the output of the rhythm, and one for the output of the entire loop, I guess. So like these are different rhythms here. I think there's 7 of them. Alright, so there's actually 10 of them. Yeah, there's 10 different rhythms that you can choose from, and if you're practicing or jamming by yourself, it's really nice to have them. And then of course you can just always stop, and you can yeah, just use this as a looper, right? Is you record what you want to record that you want to repeat, and then you press this again, it will overdub it. I mean, you press this again, yeah, it will try to overdub it with another thing you record it with, and then you press it twice and it'll save that into that memory bank. And it doesn't actually save it until you actually like write it, but the loop will be saved, you know what I mean? So this is the loop. You can turn up the output on the loop. Now this is an MP3 I stored, so you can, not MP3, wave. It stores wave files, so you can put wave files on this from your computer, and then they will be in this loop here for you to jam with. You don't always need to put your MP3 player. It does have an aux jack though. Yeah, it has an aux jack. You can connect your MP3 player to it, but if you want your, if you don't want to do that all the time, you can just store it on this pedal itself. Let's see, one that, yeah, so this will be one that you can overdub with, right? So I can choose to overdub this, like this. And then I can just press it again to save it, and now I can hear the loop inside of it. Right? So now it has my own personal overdubs on it as well, in addition to the main loop, and you can overdub it as many times as you want. And then if you want to save it, you'll just, you know, write it to it. You can also delete using the same button. So I'm not going to save it, so I'm just going to go to another one, and then that one will be gone basically. Yeah, so that whatever you saved in that one will be gone if you go to another one, unless you write to it. And this is just the other loops that I've recorded. So yeah, that's the RC3 loop station. It's very, very useful for jamming by yourself, which I do a lot. And yeah, that's my pedal board basically. The next one I want to show you is my amp. So stay tuned. This one is about, oh, by the way, the prices on these ones. This one is about $75 to $90, and this one is about also $90 to $100. I think you can find new now. It's this one's not a new pedal. It came out. I remember I got this one like 2011ish, so a long time ago. It's been out. This one has also been out for a long time. Yeah, let's move on. I also have this power supply right here. This is a BBE supercharger, which I'm using to power all these pedals from here. As you can see, I'm using everyone. You can select your voltage here, 95 to 120 volts, 210 to 240 volts. It does its job. It's a power supply. It's not as big as the Voodoo Lab, but I like it that way. It's smaller, more portable. It can power up to 8 different pedals, so pretty nice. And yeah, that's the pedal board. Alright guys, and this is the Xotic Atomic Junior. This is a Class A 5-watt tube amp. I haven't talked about this that much before, although I should. It's a very interesting amp. I've kept it as my apartment amp now since 2012, so about 4 years and going now. It's a really, really cool amp. It's a really good amp. You can see that's like this nice tweed design here. So there's been a lot of companies that make these small like 1 watt to 5 watt bedroom practice amps for Class A tube amps. Like Epiphone Valve Junior comes to mind, the Tone King Falcon, I believe, the Victoria amps, they make one. Fender makes one, of course, the Fender Champ. You know, all the clones of the Fender Champ. There's so many of them. I've been thinking about the Milkman amps as well. They're actually based in San Francisco, and they actually also make something pretty similar to this, although a little bit higher wattage and a little bit heavier. But yeah, I like this amp a lot. One of the reasons is because it's highly portable. It only weighs 14 pounds. So if I want to carry it somewhere, it doesn't take too much effort to carry it. It's really 14 pounds. So it's very, very light, I think. Sorry about that noise. I think that's because it has spring reverb in it, which is another reason why I like it a lot. So turn it around. All right, so this is the back of the Xotic Atomic Junior, and what you see here is basically very, very clean looking type of circuit here. This is basically a Fender Champ circuit. It uses the same tubes. It uses 6v6 tubes, right? So 6v6 tubes are known for being very clean and very clean sounding compared to the EL84 power tubes, which are usually used on British amps. So I guess one would call this kind of an American style amp because of that. And yeah, it is full Class A, which means that it only has 1 tube in the power amp stage. If you have 2 tubes, then if you have 2 power amp tubes, then that makes it a Class AB amp. And simple controls. So you have 1 input for the guitar, 1 volume input. This can be pretty loud, so I keep it at low settings. You have 1 tone input here and 1 space input, which is basically reverb. And this is one other reason I have this amp, is because as far as I know, this is the smallest and most portable amp that has a tube reverb in it. And that is pretty amazing. As a full tube reverb, which is pretty cool. I mean, on an amp this size, that's pretty amazing. And I wanted to have a built-in reverb in my amp. There's another switch here to go from a hot to cool setting. So if I switch it to the hot setting, it's going to be adding a little bit more gain to it. You can see the different tubes here. There's 12AX7 tubes right here. There's actually 2 of them. One of them is the preamp tube, obviously, and then the other one behind it is for the tube reverb. It's a full spring tank reverb in there. I don't know how Xotic did it, but they managed to fit a full spring reverb in here. And you have the 6v6 power tube, as I said. That makes this more of a clean voiced amplifier, more of an American sounding amplifier. You have the transformer here, and you have the this is the rectifier tube. I think it is a GC34. So yeah, so 6v6 GC34, and you have the 12AX7. yeah, it's a full Class A amp here, all tube powered, no solid state here. There's no solid state rectifier. Even the rectifier is a tube rectifier, as you can see. So it's really nice, light, portable, good sounding, clean tone. It's got lots of headroom. It has the full reverb in there, tube powered reverb. So that's really awesome. I'm gonna show you the hot versus cool setting. So right now it's a standard. I always keep it on the cool setting because I already have enough gain with my pedals. So this is, I don't have any pedals on. The standard hot, the cool setting here, if I turn it to the hot setting, as you can see, it adds a little bit more girth to it, a little bit more gain. Back to the cool setting, a little bit less gain. Yeah, anyways, that is the Swart Atomic Junior. As far as I know, it is the smallest and most portable Class A tube amp with a full tube powered reverb. Everything is tube powered here. So yeah, that's it. That is my full gear review. You've seen all my pedals, my amplifier, and my guitar. And yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions about any of this stuff, then let me know. Leave me a comment. And as always, thanks for watching. One more thing I want to demo is the amount of reverb that this thing has. So yeah, this thing packs a lot of reverb in here. So it's got this cool LED here as well. So right now I have the reverb set to 4, right? And if I set it, this is without any reverb. I don't think you guys have heard my guitar without any reverb in this video. No reverb, right? I pump it up to 4, which is my 3 or 4, which is my usual setting. You hear a little bit of spring reverb in there now. That's how I like it, a little bit of subtle spring reverb to everything. If you pump it up even higher, you can really start to hear the reverb now. Let's see a 7. Now it's starting to get a little bit overpowering. If you pump it all the way to 10 on the full setting, too much for my taste, so I dial it back down. But yeah, just want to show you guys the reverb setting, and this, as I said, this thing get very, very loud, so I don't want to turn up the volume. This being a 5-watt tube amp, which is a lot louder than a solid state amp. So that's it.